is everything going with the FCA charity now, Mr. Steve, about the fundraising and the event with the football man you talk about?
Yep, Tim Tebow. Yep. We're signing the contract right now, so we should hear something back from him. But he is such a big, not only one of the best examples of a Christian in our country, but he was real successful in sports. So he'll get a lot of people come from all Atlanta area just to hear him talk. So it's gonna be really good for our for FCA and good for our community. And as part of his speech, he'll share his the gospel with the people. So it's evangelistic too. So I'm excited about that. So
Yes.
it'll be a lot of work to get to do this, but our church is going to let us do it at our church, and they're going to help pay for the dinner for the people that help sponsor him coming. So it should be really good. So
Yes. So he lives in area, Atlanta area, right, Mr. Steve?
now he actually lives in Florida. He went to school at the University of Florida, and he lives close to where my son, I believe he lives, unless he's moved. He lives by Jacksonville, Florida.
Yes. And it's wonderful that he will come to Woodstock and speak there.
Yeah. Well, his father and mother were missionaries in the Philippines for a number of years. So I think he was actually born in the Philippines.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's got a heart for missions too, to reach out to other people.
So right now he's a very well-known football star, but also in Christian community, he's one who loves the Lord and also have a heart for mission.
Yep. And he recently was married. He was the kind of guy that he let everybody know in college that he was going to wait until he gets married to have sex. So they even the people kind of tease him about that. But now he got married, I think about a year ago, to like Miss Universe or Miss World or somebody. So he's been married a short period of time. But again, he did it God's way in marriage. So he's a great example of. But his family were missionaries in the Philippines. They're back in the United States now, but they do a bunch of mission trips to the Philippines.
Yes. And so
in the world, encouraging pastors, meeting with them, and encouraging them. So he's just as busy as he's always been, but he's doing it for the North American Mission Board, which is headquartered right here in Atlanta. So he's really busy.
Yes. And how about Pastor Jeremy Martin doing, Mr. Steve?
Yeah, he's doing great too. He's really behind the FCA, what we do. So it makes it, they support me a lot financially and all the research, just like be able to have it at church without having to, if I had that somewhere else, I might have to pay $4,000 or $5,000 for a venue, for a place to have it, and then pay, say, $40, $50 a person just for the meal to have it. So if I have it at First Baptist, I think they're going to pay for the meal and let us use their, when you see it in person, you can't believe it's 7,000 seat auditorium. So with nice seats, nice furnished, comfortable seats. Just to have that is incredible. That kind of support.
Yes. So the goal of this event could be filling up all the 6,000 to 7,000 seats of the Woodstock.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, that's that would be our dream. But part of what we're trying to do too is raise money. So we'll have a dinner, like a special dinner before, for business people and that help us raise money, and where he talks to them a little bit, and then go to the big auditorium and sell tickets for maybe like $10 a piece for anybody to come, with coaches, and then probably for coaches in our community, give them free tickets or get business people to buy the coaches tickets so they can bring their teams, their athletes, and their coaching staff to hear him talk.
Yes.
So
And
that's all I'm figuring all that out right now. So
yes.
so pray when you think about me, pray that God's I'm fasting for 3 days, just asking God to show me how to do all this, because this whole thing could change Cherokee County if God gets a hold of a bunch of people that show up for this event, and it could do some really, really good things. So,
Mr. Steve, can you say the name of the football man again? Jim Tebow, right?
Tim, Tim, Tebow, Tebow. So Tim Tebow.
Yes, yes. And yes.
Yeah, and he right now too. He's an announcer for one of the for college football. So he's on the TV a lot. So during football season, during sports season, he speaks about football. So people know him from, he's he's a celebrity because he played college and won a national championship in college, and then he played in the pros as a quarterback and professional, and now he's on TV as like an announcer. So he's on TV. So
yes, yes. And you will be in charge of the whole program, from planning and then organizing and executing.
yes,
Wow.
yes, and his fee to come speak for one day is $50,000.
Yes, yes.
So that's a lot of money. So I have to raise more than $50,000 to make the event happen, which it shows I already have I've talked one business person,
yes,
who works with me, and he's going to pay for half of that already, $25,000. So
yes.
so I need about four in total four of those would about $100,000, and then it would be really successful. So I'm going to try to go talk to the community people and businessmen to see if they'll get behind. But I need at least one more, but I've got one already. I need one more. And then I'm try to find four businesses that would
yes,
really for this event. So
yes. I think a couple days later will be the first the full 1 year you work for FCA, right, Mr. Steve?
Yeah, at next Thursday. My first day was April 1st, 2020. So
yes,
yeah, what's today, the 22nd? Yeah, about a week from today it'll be a year, and God's done amazing things to help us to really grow and be a good example of other places are starting to look at what we're doing and like, how did you do this? And that's like, it's all God, just praying, planning, and executing. And our hearts are right for why we're doing this. So God's really answering prayers. So.
and I mean, I'm very we start to talk like this about nearly a year, and I'm very impressed about that you take charge of FCA and doing many good work there and many other responsibilities. But it seems like you never rush, and like look at your face expression, always feel like relaxed and kind, and so really it's amazing me that how could you do it? So and look at the people face recently, and you can see that people worry and busy all the time. But like example, like I call you and not set up the meeting, but you can spend time to talk to me about 30 minutes to 45, and then on Thursday you still can spend time with us about 1.5 hours and preparing more than that, but you still can do it. And I said, how can you? And so
it's all God doing it and making it possible to do the things a friend of mine told me this, that God doesn't give us the strength to do everything we want to do. He gives us to do the things that we're called to do. So if if you're doing the things like I really feel like I'm called, I know I'm called to FCA. So it's like every day I wake up, no matter if things are against me, like people are say things or whatever the deal is, it's like I know every day I'm called by God to. I prayed for a year for God to open up what he wanted me to do, and he opened this up. So
Yes.
it's like I know I'm doing, because again, in my own thing, I would take a job that made more money than if it was just me. And I wouldn't have to work as hard. So it's like that. If I had to take a job, that's what I would look for. But this is not that job. But I know when God says, it's like you saying you're in the military and the person says you're gonna do this, you just say yes sir. I'm persuaded with God. He's like, I want you here, so it's like yes sir.
Yes.
You don't say, well, it doesn't pay that well. It's like that, I want you right there. So I'm providing for you, I will provide for you. It's like yes sir.
Yes.
Yeah. And like we said, what's actually interesting is it seems like a lot of the things I talk about with you guys is all about attitude. It is attitude. So I'm hoping that people can see, I have an attitude of gratitude, and I'm willing to give back to people an attitude of gratitude to God. If I can help anybody with that, on how to be a leader, how to be a better Christian, and I can see that God gave me the ability to be a leader and be a leader and a Christian. And it's like, what does Vietnam need more than anything? It's people that are leaders and Christians. It's like, and you guys can see somebody who's they've been a Christian a long time and a businessman a long time to learn from, that you don't have there for the most part. So if God, I know I'm called to help you guys. Because again, a business leader would not probably take as much time out of their week going, I'm going to help people that I don't really receive anything.
Yes.
I the appreciation, but if you're just a businessman and all you did is, they call it quick pro quo, and say, okay, I'm given this, what do I get? But that's not God's economy. He calls you to do things, and you just, yes, sir. And the rewards are great on how much you guys appreciate what I do, that I'm really helping somebody, then can teach people that they want to learn about either Jesus or business. So
I think what you just said about the spirit of duty. I mean, in the West Point, I learned in the West Point Academy, in military, they have a motto. It's about duty, honor, and country. And so our job is to do our duty, and we got the honor, and then we protect our country. And I just first I just want to call you because I want to say thank you for all the help I received last year with the encouragement, the teaching, and the huge financial support. And this year we start with the class, and right now totally about 9 people attended. And just as I said, the total fund received about $700.
Wow.
And you said that you spend time to talk to me like this. We plan, and then you prepare time you spend time to for presentation and present to us. Huge amount of time.
They will get their money's worth. I'll guarantee you. They will. The people that are paying you will get their money worth out of this class. Have you got any feedback from them? Do they like the way we're talking about things, or is it, if you get any feedback and they say, oh, I'd like to see this, or
okay, before I talk to you, we have a Bible class with Mr. Mark, and Janet study there, and she mentioned about your class, and she said before she is a woman. She doesn't know how to say no, but after listen from and we just study Matthew chapter 13, where the John the Baptist being hated because the daughter of Herodias danced before Herod, and so we learned that we cannot make quick promise. And so she said that, oh yes, I did that all the time, but right now I learned to say no for Mrs. And so
and it's not just saying no, it's saying no to the right things that you realize and you're called to do. So because people, and there's one other lady that was saying the same thing by her question. The church the leader keeps asking me to do more stuff, and you know, it's the same way. You go, no, because they'll keep asking you until you say no. So most church pastors, if you're doing a good job, they're going to keep asking you to do more and more and more. So at some point you have to say no, or you'll get burned out and just walk away and not help at all because you're too burnt out or too tired. But yeah, it's a good lesson to learn. And the other part too is you want to again, it's like you don't want to be a people pleaser, like you're afraid to disappoint anybody and keep saying yes. You just want to obey God and please him. So to do that, you got to give up certain things that waste time or you're not called to do. So it's having that discernment. Usually I would tell Janet is like the things when you say you have three things that you're spending your time on in your ministry, and when they mention number one, you're just like, oh, I love doing that. I mean, I really feel like I'm called to do that. I feel the sense of God doing that. And then you mentioned the second one and you're, oh yeah, you know, it takes more time than the first one, but I enjoy that. And I feel like I'm supposed to do it. Then the third one, they ask you to come and help or do something. You go, oh man, I really don't want to go do that. And I don't like, that's the one that God's probably calling you to get rid of. I mean, that you just kind of lose your joy for it, your peace. And then it's like, I know the first two I'm supposed to do for sure. That third one is the one I'm going to say no to. And I learned that's part of the way you evaluate where you don't have peace, or you're like, oh, I really don't like doing that, but I don't want to disappoint that person. So I'm going to keep doing it. And every time you're really not into it, you really don't want to do it. That's the one. Okay. I'm just telling that person I'm not going to do that anymore. That's the simplest way I've learned to discern which one of your priorities that you. And a lot of times it's the one that you've been doing the longest too. You might do it the longest and you don't want to tell them no because they're your friend or you've been doing it so long. That's the one you got to say no to. So
yes, I agree. I mean, after I believe in the Holy Spirit that has been working, and just a feeling you said that when someone asked me to do something, and when I saw something and I felt that got some feeling, no, it's not right to do so. And like people say, like conscience or things like that. And so I think your course is very good. And a couple men in the group asked me to send them the link YouTube of the recording, especially the first class where you share the principle, and I'm working on it so that they can watch again. And I'm sure I will send to my friends, other friends, and I'm sure they will enjoy your sharing, including my translation, so they can learn your principle as well.
Okay, great. Anybody else? Any other kind of feedback you're getting from, or any that you have just on, because again, we're doing this as we go. We got a high trust level, you know, it's like, but I want to make sure, my big thing is I want to make sure I'm delivering what you want, and then what they expect for the money that they're putting. Because I know, like in US dollars, it's not a whole lot of money, but in Vietnam, that's a pretty good amount of money to where I want them to go, wow, if they don't like it, I'd rather them not pay, or I pay for their scholarship or something, so they feel like they get that they have a good experience, or they get their money back if they don't like what they're hearing.
Mr. Steve, which students, they pay $85 to attend, and I can tell you that is a very, very low cost. With the things you teach, I think people need to pay maybe 300 or 400 US dollars, the price in Vietnam, to learn, but maybe not that so good. I'm very proud of you, and just want to say thank to you, because most of people study is Christian. They are Christians, and two of them are my brother in the north of Vietnam. And so you give me a chance to connect with Christians, to build trust with them, and encourage and support them. And also I connect with the two brothers in the north, and gain their trust as well. They don't believe in God, but they can see the way you teach, and they see maybe my influence with the people, and they said, oh, my changed, he's not the same.
They can say, you can say, how many friends, business people do you know in the United States that can teach people? And they're like, none. And it's like, okay. Well, I think they'll see that God's hands on you and that he's working some of these things out, because they might think like in business, we're both real successful and Mike's not as successful as us. And then they see in God's economy, it's like, oh man, he's got a lot of influence, and how is he doing that? And just ask questions, and maybe again, consider God more, just that this is important what you're working on. And you do have great influence, so, and you will continue in your, so.
Yes, I mean, I want to be a servant of God. So my job always is serving Vietnamese people and serving a believer here. And I see growing in the influence and about leadership ability and serving ability. And I mean, everything is beyond my imagination. And so just want to say thank you for giving me connect with people, and then receive funds so that I can sponsor for Mercy English. And I want to share with you a video I just made about last week. I attended the class about making videos to influence, and we learn. I learned about camera, learn about writing script, learning about set up the background, and honestly that I learned with honesty from you. And I posted, and people respond good, because we say, oh, the message is very clear and transparent, and they love I think they see the background, the fitting with the left side is Vietnam, with the poor country and the flag, and then US look like before we have a war, but right now US cover Vietnam. And from when Vietnam worked with US, we opened with the war. So here the video very short, and I speak in my language to promote Mercy English. So please watch and give me some feedback. Yes.
Let me hear.
Xin chào, mình là Thế Anh, giáo viên và phiên dịch viên tiếng Anh tại thành phố Hồ Chí Minh, với mong muốn giúp đỡ một số bạn trẻ học tập và sử dụng tiếng Anh hiệu quả hơn, có thêm nhiều cơ hội giao lưu thực tế với những người bạn Mỹ và nâng cao những kỹ năng cần thiết trong công việc và cuộc sống tương lai. Mình Thế Anh và Lý Ngọc Nam, sinh viên năm cuối đại học khoa, cùng anh Kevin Tapper, một người bạn Mỹ đến từ Texas, sẽ cùng tổ chức câu lạc bộ tiếng Anh Mercy English vào 18h30 tối thứ ba hàng tuần tại nhà hàng The Organic 54 Lý Văn Hưng, quận Nhất. Team Mercy mong muốn mang tới sự động viên khích lệ với những người bạn đang lo lắng trong học tiếng Anh cũng như tương lai phía trước. Vậy hãy tới cùng chúng tôi trở thành những người bạn và gửi chúng tôi cơ hội được phục vụ và giúp đỡ bạn trong một tương lai tốt đẹp hơn của tất cả chúng ta. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại vào tối thứ ba tuần này. Thank you. Yes,
that's great. You know, a couple of thoughts. One is that whole thing of wisdom and encouragement, that help, like if you basically, and I don't know exactly what you're saying to them individually or in the voice, but just basically say, Mercy English is all about encouraging people but doing it in a providing wisdom in business, and by using, because it'd be like, why are those American, what's the connection with America? It's like, these are business leaders basically that are pouring in wisdom that really help. So you learn English, but you're also getting wisdom about business. So, I think that the other part that comes, that I would stress too, is come in an encouragement and in a community where you can. So the idea of coming, if you come into our community, we're all about encouragement and providing wisdom to help you in your life, kind of thing. So come into our community, and then as people graduate, they still stay in that community of yours. Like, how many people have gone through Mercy English? And because then I think you can connect them. They're almost like apostles or disciples of yours. Like, you have all these disciples that you put wisdom, and you help teach them business through Mercy English, and then you keep them as a community of people, and they tell other people about it. So even when you're toward the end of your classes, you can say, hey, we want you to stay involved in our community through social media, let other people know, let's make connections, because the people that you're in now, they're going to be some of them might be starting in business, but they're going to be leaders in Vietnam. And if you start with them now, and you connect with them and say, hey, work with in our community. If you're looking for somebody to work for your company, look at Mercy English, our community. If you're looking for a particular kind of person that works in a business area, we'll show you where we have a way you can look on social media to see what kind of skills, like, do you need an interpreter? Do I need a salesperson, or, some way to connect that whole community together so they benefit from each other.
Yes.
I think people will give them a reason to want to stay in the community because they can benefit from it.
Yes. And so yes, after I learned the course, and I feel good when right now I feel I know how to writing scripts. I know how to shoot the video and put
Yeah, it looks good though. Yeah, it looks really good for doing it yourself, and I think that's awesome.
Yes, and so
Well, and I think, Mike, the only other thing when I was just watching it too was, you show the American people, if they do have a particular kind of background, like Mike or Mr. Mark, IBM, or some of these guys, it could be like consultant or marketing consultant, or just because to me, like Kansas City, Missouri doesn't really, for an average person looking at your video, that doesn't mean anything, or Atlanta, Georgia. But if they, like, just like what when we were there, you said Steve Hyland from Coca-Cola, marketing from Coca-Cola, Mike, an IBM project manager. And then I don't know the other guys, I just think if somebody's actually just looking at it, they're like, oh, wow, that I want to learn about IBM. That guy from IBM can teach me, or those other two guys in your video. But I think where they're from in the United States, unless it's something different than I'm not thinking of, would
yes,
like, just like me, if you said Mike from Hanoi, or Nam from Ho Chi Minh City, okay, it wouldn't, the geographic thing wouldn't connect with me as much as the other, like you said, connecting to the picture of the flags behind you. That part of the wisdom is we get business people that have a lot of experience that are help teaching business principles that I use in Mercy English when you come. So it's not just teaching you the words of English, you're putting wisdom in with the teaching them the English language.
Yes, I will change the B-roll. I mean the video,
Yeah.
and I will put you, Mr. Paul, Mr. Shane, and Mr. Mark in, and just
and then put our companies or something that go, wow, Mike, and then you can say, well, tell me about this guy from Coca-Cola, and say, we're actually doing a class where we're talking about that goes beyond Mercy English, where we're doing some business training on basic skills. And they're like, wow, it shows it's like an extension of your company.
Yes, yes, exactly. Yes, thank you. And yes, and I think next week I will have a meeting with two business Christian business and to share about the consulting work. And please wait and hear from me.
Yeah, that'll be interesting because I think we could really help them, and it could be a way that you can make. And well, you know what I would do too, Mike, is tell them when you're talking that part of what you can bring, because they might say, I'm already a businessman and I've been in business longer than you, then what are you doing? It's like I can help connect in not only marketing, but also connect the US company. So if they're trying to do business in the US, you and I working together are going to be a lot more productive for them than they can be. So it's like you and me, we form a consulting team that can help in the United States and in Vietnam. So
Yes,
kind of thing. So
yes,
I mean, I could literally, an example, like the one man that had the big company, he went to Alabama for his company to engage me. I mean, I can get in the car and be in Alabama within an hour to 2 hours. I could go to a meeting that we had a Zoom representing his company and you and me being consultants, and it would save him a lot of time and money
yes,
to kind of be his business consultant to go visit a company a couple times a year, and um, and then be able to communicate to you in Vietnam what these people need and what it really means, in the cultural part and the account management. And it could, especially if they would really trust both, you get to know you and I and trust us on both sides of the business relationship.
yes, yes,
That could save thousands or make up thousands of dollars for these companies, and through you.
yes, yes. I'm excited for that. Yes, and I think this year I feel more good because you taught me time management, and Mr. Mark taught me about productivity. And right now, I feel I plan my day and my week well and kind of effective. And
Yeah. Yeah, because if you don't plan, I found if you don't plan your week, other people plan your week for you. They say, Mike, can you go here? Can you go here? Can you go here? And then instead of looking at your schedule and seeing how they fits in your remaining blocks of time, you just start filling up all the things that people request, and at the end of the day, you've done what everybody else wants you to do instead of what's important to you. So
yes, yes, and yeah, so everything is good. Our work at Mercy is going well, and one thing I think I need to write you a report very soon about the 5 scholarship you gave last year. I think I use it, and I gave a scholarship for 6 people already, and just half of them, half of that fund. That means I remember about 800 75 US dollar, but I just before one people 175, but right now one people um, just about like 85 US dollars or things like that. So I just use half of it for 6 people. But
well,
I think I do hope maybe next week I will send you the report, and I
no,
feel
I'm going to save you some time, and because time is valuable. So instead of that, just write some notes on the 5 people, and you and I will spend about 30 minutes on Zoom. You can just tell me because I don't need you to have to write a formal report or anything. Just find, make some notes about each person, and then when we're talking one of these times, just say, here's kind of you know, what happened with those 5 people, and do it that way. So um, I don't want you to have to spend a couple hours even work. You can do something else with that time.
yes, yes. Thank you for your answer. I will have a picture and then report briefly to you. But just want you to say that after I learned from Mr. Milton Friedman, I feel right now I approach the way to support and the way to help people kind of differently. That means I really need to find out their real need for help, and then need to ask them to share the responsibility and share the contribution, and really feel like people willing to take responsibility for themselves first. And I found out that Mr. Milton Friedman, he was advisor for President Reagan too. And so the way he approached about that, right now I feel like it's a conservative way to help people. And so
that's good. Hey, a couple things I'm going to cover on Thursday. I'll talk about SMART objectives. You had that in your giving examples of SMART: specific, measurable, achievable, time bound. So I'm used to that. I'm also talk to them about doing a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, and then kind of use maybe the water company. Talk about using that example about doing the business plan, just the kind of the main things to help you. But so I'll definitely teach those three kind of big things, and then kind of how to think about when you're doing the main. It's almost like your example, the video you showed. I'm going to show the big rocks. I can't show all the sand, but I can show the big rocks, and then we can use the water company as an example, and even Mercy English if you want to, of that they'll be able to see those same things in a plan. And then maybe do the business side on the first week, and then the second week maybe get them thinking about or do some of the homework, but then also kind of show them how we can tailor in the second week, tailor it to their personal, because you had a business plan, creating a business plan, personal plan, like how you could use the same kind of things and then tailor it for a personal plan.
Yes.
So that was my thought for the 2 weeks.
Yes.
Hey, and one other thing I want to just ask you too, because again, no matter how many weeks we do it for this one, whether it's 8 weeks or 12 weeks, that's fine, whatever. If we do it, the 6 topics times 2 weeks, but I think longer term, it's going to be hard, to do it very often if we do 12 weeks at a time, because just, it'd be like if we start 12 weeks and then start with another 12 weeks, that, it's going to be hard to do that in an ongoing way. So I'm wondering whether, I don't know how this one we could do it 12 weeks, but that we'd look at picking 3 or 4 that we do 2 weeks, and then some of the other topics we do 1 week, just to try to make it more like to me like 8 weeks, and then we could take a few weeks off and then jump into another class 8 weeks and then take 3 weeks off, but that's just a thought.
Yeah, I agree with you, Steve, that is the first, and then we set 6, and then each topic 2 weeks, so we times and to become a 12, but later on we cut shorter, and even with this one, maybe if you feel like we teach 3 topics about 6 weeks, and then we off for 2 weeks, and then we can get back later on. I think it will be a good, Mr. Steve.
Yeah, I'm just thinking too, in this one we can do the 12 weeks, or there might be a couple of the topics that might not be as much on 2 weeks, like doing financial planning could take, you could do it in 1 week or 4 weeks if it depends how much you want to plan, like for company or your personal. But I'd like to teach them I think I could teach them some really good things on financial, like how to plan finances, and some other things, that just how to live under your means, like not to spend to what you have, but to spend, or when you're planning to live under your means for what you have, and then also help other people that we're as Christians, we're going to be judged on how we how we are stewards of our finances, not how much money we accumulated. So,
Yes, yes,
but that could take a little time or a lot of time. So,
yes.
but maybe a couple of the topics we could do one week, and but if we committed to 12 weeks, I want to make sure for the first time that we do it. But I think part of it is if we keep doing it ongoing, we're going to need sometimes where we either like I say, I have something on a Thursday morning and I can't get out of, that we'd go, hey, this week we're not going to meet, but we're gonna
Yes.
that we might do like nine lessons in 12 weeks, so we can have a little flexibility if we need to, if I can't be there one week or
Yes.
something, where people don't think, wow, why isn't he here? I committed to do this kind of.
No, Mr. Kim, I understand clearly, and most of friends who join, they are Christian, and I have after 2 weeks, I feel I have a good relationship with them, and two brothers in the north. So that means
Yeah.
right now we make decision and understanding by relationship. So that means when you got something to do, and I can explain them and in close relationship way, and so I think they understand. And again, I said the fee they pay not high, and also they understand that you doing it by love, at your heart, and so you did overthink first. So we want to think about you. Like after I call you today, I just feel like, oh, you spend a lot of time to guide and to teach, and I receive the fee. And my question is about how can I help you? And
Well, I think what will happen too is that my hope is that I think this first one is obviously going to take the longest because I got to prepare material, but after that, we can use the material every week, so it won't really take that much time preparing. So, I think after this first one, it'll be a lot easier. We can edit or add a few comments or do things to what the material. And then my hope is too that you could do it sometime, if you wanted to create a class and teach them some principles that, and it might be in a totally different environment. It might be teaching some college kids. You might say, hey, let me teach you a little bit about how to manage your time or how to do your finances. So things that you've learned that you're already doing that we learn in these, and then teach it to them.
yes,
Or use the material for some of the material to talk in about Mercy English. When you talked about the wisdom, you go, hey, we're gonna talk about some of these principles of how do you do a budget, how can you do a business plan, and give them in the context of business when you're talking.
yes, Mr. Steve, I understand. It's just my question always feel like I receive a lot from you. So whatever I can do to support you and to help you for preparation, I'll be ready for that.
Okay, great.
I'm here to serve people here, and please give me a chance to serve you.
Yeah. I'm doing the material. I think I've really got to do that. So if there's anything I can think of, and over time too, what I'd like to do is maybe, or so for the first one, I'm doing the content, but maybe some of the other ones that we do, times we do it, you could talk through the principle and go, hey, this is how, teach it. I could teach some of it and you can teach some of it and give examples of how you're using it and how it made a difference. And then I can teach some more, and then you could teach some of the material. So my hope is that I'm starting, I might do more of the presentation, but that we could, and the same would work for consulting, my hope is that I might start out by doing a lot of the content and you'd do some, and then over time you'll learn it and I'll have to do less and you do more. And then you feel like, oh, I know how to do this now. And I know I can use it with other people and people will see me as an expert in these areas. And